Thank you, everyone. Good evening and happy Labor Day. Today, let us express our appreciation to all the workers in Singapore, past and present, for the contributions that they have made to Singapore's development. Thank you. Thank you for coming to our final rally tonight. Hazel, I love you. My husband is here. Okay, first, let me deal with some unfinished business from the campaign. And that is relating to the harassment incident involving PAP and PSP volunteers in Bukit Gombak on 4th January 2025, which our volunteers have started to call Gombak Gate. Now, more than a month ago, we have been informed by police that their investigations have been completed and they have handed over their investigation results to the Attorney General's chambers. 5 days ago, at our rally at Bukit Gombak, I called on the government to release the result of the police investigation. A member of PSP has allegations of assault hanging over him, and we would like his name to be cleared. But we heard nothing. So at yesterday's media interview, I again asked for the result of the investigation. Tonight is the last day for campaigning, and we have still heard nothing. Since investigations has been completed and serious allegations about PSP volunteers' conduct have been made, it is only fair that the results must be released before voters go to the ballot in 2 days' time. PSP has nothing to hide. Does PAP? If we still hear nothing from the police or AGC, dear Singaporeans, we will have to ask you to draw your own conclusions and to perhaps give the opposition the benefit of the doubt in future. If PAP had not made allegations of slapping that they were unable to substantiate, if it had merely been allegations of who started the misbehavior, I think that this situation for PSP will be a lot murkier. In a situation of your word against mine, opposition does not have the upper hand. In the last 2 days, there have been reports that plans to disrupt a PSP walkabout in Taman Jurong were discussed in a WhatsApp group linked to grassroots volunteers supporting PAP candidate Sean Huang. The media contacted us to ask questions about this. They wanted us to tell them whether or not the disruption actually happened. But we don't know. There is no way for us to tell whether or not a person talking to us is genuine or trying to misinform or just take up our time. The most direct and effective way is to ask Mr. Sean Huang. So here, I would like to ask Mr. Sean Huang to please clarify for the media and the public whether or not it is true that his volunteers planned to disrupt PSP's outreach in Taman Jurong and whether it was executed. Since As the first generation leaders, PAP has always prided itself in the integrity of their politicians. I hope that this pride is warranted and can be upheld. Next, I would like to talk about an issue that is close to our hearts: housing. Minister Desmond Lee has been the Minister for National Development since the last general election in 2020. What has been his track record? Minister Desmond Lee has claimed that PSP makes assertions with little regard for facts. So let me present the facts and figures to West Coast, Jurong West voters and all Singaporeans. Over the 5-year period from 2021 to 2025, HDB launched over 100,000 flats, or an average of 20,000 flats per year. Minister Desmond Lee has declared that the delays due to the pandemic had all been cleared, and that in the next 2 years, from 2026 to 2027, about 15,000 flats will be built. Is this enough? Let us look at the number of marriages in Singapore. There are about 24,000 citizen marriages in Singapore every year. How can 15,000 new flats cater to 24,000 marriages? Does somebody need math lessons? On top of that, we have about 20,000 new citizens every year. Those unable to get a BTO flat will be pushed towards the resale market, contributing to higher and higher resale prices. Do you really think that PAP is incapable of building more flats? 40 years ago, from 1981 to 1985, HDB built 189,000 flats. That's an average of 38,000 flats a year. Now the government has a lot more resources than it did in 1980s. Do you think it cannot build more than 15,000 flats? This is less than half the number they were building back in the 80s. Now, for argument's sake, if we accept that the government is unable to build more than 15,000 flats a year, then don't you think that they shouldn't be bringing in so many new citizens every year and add on to our housing demand? The duty of any government should always be to its own citizens first. And housing is a fundamental need. The government must always meet the housing needs of its citizens first. Either they build more flats or they slow down the intake of new citizens. Isn't that logical? The issue of long waiting time has always been around. And when the government measures waiting time, it measures the time from successful booking to the point of key collection. It does not include the time when couples apply for flats but were unsuccessful. So the waiting time as published by the government is shorter than the waiting time actually experienced by couples. Recently, MND started building shorter waiting time flats in a departure from BTO, but at a very slow pace. Even though such flats can be built, the government will only be building about 4,000 shorter waiting time flats per year from 2025 to 2027. This is hugely inadequate. The government can be more aggressive about building flats with shorter waiting times so that our young couples can start families earlier. Enough about supplies, let's talk prices. Minister Desmond Lee has been assuring Singaporeans that HDB flats are affordable. But every time we walk the ground, the feedback is always that HDB flats are too expensive. Why is there such a gap between Minister Lee's perception and that of ordinary Singaporeans? Is he getting different feedback, or does he trust his own numbers more? Minister Desmond Lee has shown graphs comparing the trends of median wages to the price of 4-room BTO flats in non-mature estates to justify his view that HDB flats are affordable. But not everybody buys 4-room BTO flats in non-mature estates. Some BTOs are in mature estates which are priced much higher. And since the number of BTOs on sale each year is not enough to meet demand, some will have to buy on the resale market. And we all know what resale prices are like now, right? In 2019 to third quarter of 2021, close to 1/3 of the first-timers buy from the resale market. So if we only compare wages with prices of BTOs in non-mature estates, the comparison is incomplete and thus misleading. Minister Lee has also shown calculations of how the housing installments can be paid fully or almost fully from CPF. Again, these illustrations do not use prices in the resale market, and they do not show how our retirement savings are reduced when we use so much of our CPF savings to pay for our flats over 25 years. From 2020 to 2025, over a 5-year period, resale prices have risen by 53%. Despite all the cooling measures, it has risen relentlessly. A few years ago, the minister explained to us that the rapid rise in resale prices is due to construction delays caused by the pandemic, causing a surge in demand for resale flats. But now that we have cleared the construction delays, resale prices are still rising. While resale prices rose by more than 50%, wages rose only by about 21%. This disparity shows the undersupply of new flats. Now, when resale prices increase, it affects not only those who buy resale flats, but all of us. Why? When resale price increase, the value of land increases, and HDB needs to pay SLA a higher amount to pay for the land it buys for building HDB flats. And then that means that the government needs to give a higher subsidy to HDB so that they can pay for the pricier land. Where does this subsidy come from? From taxpayers. It comes from GST, income tax, property tax, etc. Last financial year, the amount of government grant to HDB is $6.8 billion, which is equivalent to about 3 to 4% GST. If resale prices continue to rise, this grant will have to rise as well, and more tax revenue will be needed to pay for it. In summary, under the PAP's current system, when resale prices rise, our tax burden rises too. So why doesn't the minister build more flats? It is just a matter of whether they have the political will to do so. So if you think that HDB prices are too expensive, you have to give them the political will to do so through your votes. If Minister Lee believes in his numbers, then you have to give him new numbers in reduced votes. Now let us talk about the least decay issue. The fact that HDB flat value goes to zero at the end of 99 years, after so much CPF savings have gone into it. The government said they would address the problem through verse. That was 8 years ago. Yeah, you're right. Wait long. Until today, no details have been given, despite the opposition asking for it many times. Why do you think that is so? Is the PAP so inefficient that 8 years is not enough time for them to work out the details? Or is it because PAP thinks that the voters are not going to like it? When PSP proposed our affordable home scheme, where buyers of new flats are not charged the land cost, unless and until they sell the flat on the resale market, PAP claimed that our proposal is a rate on the reserves. I tried to reason with them in Parliament. I said, since the land returns to government after 99 years, there is no loss in reserves after 99 years. So how can this be a rate on the reserves? They replied that it is a rate on reserves because the law defines it so. I was astounded. Now, even laws must have good basis. If the basis is not sound, then it is not a good law and should be changed. Furthermore, as parliamentarians, they are lawmakers. It is their duty to make and amend laws as appropriate. Now, I can understand the basis for this law back in those days when they sell land on freehold. Once you sell it, the land is gone forever. It does not return to government. So yes, it will be a loss in reserves if we do not collect sales proceeds and put that into the reserves. But now, land are sold on leasehold, 20 years to 99-year lease, after which it returns to government. The situation has changed, and the law should be changed to reflect that. So in future, if you hear the PAP say again that our proposal is raiding the reserve, please understand that it is a technicality, not in essence. And while they accuse us of raiding the reserve by not collecting land costs, they omitted to mention that when HDB was first introduced, the first generation leaders also did not include land cost in the HDB price. Now, PAP also said that if you vote for opposition, they could lose ministers. But look at Minister Ong Ye Kung. He lost in GE 2011 in Aljunied GRC, but he was brought back at the next election through a different GRC. So do not worry for PAP. Worry about ordinary Singaporeans instead. Now, on nomination day, PSP candidates invited our opponents to a debate on national policies. However, Minister Lee declined to engage us and instead wanted to focus on local plans. Now, what does this really mean? It means that they would rather you care more about the half-price grocery shopping in Boon Lay than in PSP's proposal for basic necessities to be exempted from GST for all Singaporeans. It means that they would rather you care more about the $3 meal vending machine in Nanyang than in PSP's proposal to lower food prices in all hawker centres for all Singaporeans. It means that they would rather you care more about the home improvement programs in this constituency than in PSP's proposal to lower HDB flat prices for all Singaporeans. They talk about the importance of unity in times of uncertainty. But is this unity if we only care about our own gains, but not about what happens to other Singaporeans? Unity is us, Singaporeans, caring about all Singaporeans and looking out for all Singaporeans. That is what unity is all about. It is definitely not about 100% PAP in Parliament. Dear Singaporeans, are we united Singaporeans? Will you vote for progress for all? On 3rd of May, will you vote for PSP? Thank you.